Hello and welcome. Today we're playing Myth or Fact with LJ Amaral and talking about women's nutrition. Thank you so much for joining us, LJ.
Thanks for having me.
So the first question, myth or fact, you can't get heart disease until you are over 50.
This is a myth. So we actually are seeing an increase in heart disease, especially in young women, and this can be prevented through proper diet and exercise. And the earlier that you do it within your life, the less of a chance that you get for having this type of heart disease.
Would you recommend women do some sort of screening or just be aware of certain markers for this?
We have to be better about our screening purposes, especially within women's health and heart health. So I think just being aware and being astute of your body and having the intuition to know that if something is going on to see your primary care doctor, but then also trying to make the efforts to, do your own part by eating well and exercising when you can.
So myth or fact, consuming too much vitamin A can be harmful to pregnant women.
That is a fact. So eating or having an excess of any sort of nutritional supplement, whether or not you're pregnant, can be harmful, especially if you're consuming a fat-soluble vitamin, which vitamin A is. So that means it stores in our body and it can become toxic if we have too much of it. And especially if you are a pregnant woman, having too much vitamin A can lead to birth defects.
Wow.
And so you do have to be quite careful in making sure that you're using the right prenatal vitamin and not having it in excess.
Are there certain foods that pregnant women are supposed to avoid that have vitamin A?
Not necessarily for the vitamin A part. It's more so with the supplementation where you get too much of it. In the food, they're kind of perfectly portioned and you don't necessarily get too much at one time unless you eat it, again, in excess.
Got it. Okay. So myth or fact, a Mediterranean diet may reduce women's risk of stroke.
That is an absolute fact, and I'm really excited about it because it's actually a diet that we have for the first time that I feel can be really generalizable, especially for women. And so there's a lot of evidence that looks at a Mediterranean-like diet, especially for the mind or the brain and brain health. And so having a lot of healthy oils or healthy fats in particular, and then avoiding the unhealthy fats can be really helpful to lessen your risk for a stroke.
I love hearing this because I personally love eating the Mediterranean diet.
It's the best.
It is the best.
Give me the olive oil.
Exactly. Myth or fact, the ability to absorb vitamin B12 can decrease with age.
This is a fact. So as we age, we have something called an intrinsic factor, which is an enzyme that helps us to break down these types of proteins that B12 is attached to. And so that goes down as we age. And so we need a little bit more if we're on antacids because that's super common as we age too. That can also decrease the absorption of vitamin B12. So making sure that you're either getting a supplement if you need it, especially if you don't have any animal-based products in your diet. Otherwise, making sure that you're keeping up with your primary care physician and getting your labs checked because they will check for deficiencies and making sure that your levels are in check.
And again, as you mentioned, it's probably best to consult your primary care physician before you decide to go adding more vitamins or minerals in your diet.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for answering our questions on women's nutrition. This was so informative.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. All of our featured care experts recommend and accept the CareCredit credit card. For more information, visit carecredit.com.